NDC ba ye be siesie ha obi opeso si factory bia omra sa kwan yu so da ombesi factory no so ho if he say abrofo ka say won fa okosu anyina emfa nto kente bakum e wo say bi ko ha na e bi ko ha say na ya BBC wo ha still ye wo enjuma e koso wo ha enti ye be designating a ha a free amasaman e ko suhum e be ye industrial zone obi open factory bia opeso si factory bia ombesi wo ha no mina ombesi sa factory na ye be mo register as 24-hour economy policy ombe register enti omo register etoa omutua ma aban ye beti so se na be ya ombetimi edi sika no aye factory ne kese no mafa emabunu no so ada account ye be see a police station wo ha ni afa ebabunu ni bia ye police for na e chese armed robbers bia mbe ha obia e wo industrial zone no. In life, you always have to keep solving problems. It's only when life has ended and they put you 6 feet down that you stop solving problems. When you solve a problem, another problem is waiting for you to solve. Lately, I see our colleagues in NPP. They've adopted a slogan. They say to lead is to solve. It's true. When you lead, you have to keep solving problems. The problems never stop. So even America, the American president has not solved all the problems. He has to keep solving. As they move forward, they keep solving the problems. Challenges will face you and you solve them. Ezu. So I was a bit amazed when somebody asked the question at the media encounter, and the person said, but if you say you abolish taxes, you do this, why don't you do it now? And then somebody replied and said, if I do it now, when you make me president, what will be left for me to do? Ezu, you know what? It's like a footballer. It's like Ronaldo. Ronaldo's coach says, Ronaldo score. He says, oh coach, if I score all the goals now, the next match, where will I get goal to score? Ezu, it just doesn't make sense at all. Because you must keep scoring. You must keep looking for chances. You must keep creating chances. And you must keep scoring goals. Ronaldo cannot score all his goals at once. More opportunities will come for goal scoring. And so you can't say, if I solve all the problems now, what would there be there to solve? There will always be issues to solve as president of this country. Ezu, and that is what you are a leader for.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. It's a pleasure coming your way. So, as you do know, we have about 93 days to the general elections. The political parties are crisscrossing the length and breadth of the country and canvassing for votes and sharing their messages and campaign messages to the voter or the electorate, hoping that they would listen and vote for them accordingly. As we do know, the major political parties have launched their campaign. They've launched their party's manifesto. I think a week and a bit ago, the NDC launched its manifesto. A week before that, the NPP did launch its manifesto as well. So what we intend to do now every Monday here on Good Afternoon Ghana is to touch base with these political parties and, even some of these independent candidates and the political movement, like the movement for change, just to get an idea of what they've been up to, because it's just 93 days to the general elections, in terms of their preparations and some issues that have come up, issues that we believe are extremely important that we need to talk about. That's what essentially we intend to dedicate Mondays for. And this afternoon, I'm going to be sitting with the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, that's Mustapha Gbande, who'll be telling us the party's preparations in issues about security, issues about peace before, during, and after the elections. We do know that the Peace Council has been talking to these political parties to sign a peace pact or a peace declaration. The NDC has refused to do so on grounds that the signing of the peace pact is not bearing or is not yielding its fruit, is meaningless if certain conditions are not being met. The Peace Council has said it would continue to talk and to implore the NDC to come to the table and sign this peace pact. We also have been a bit concerned about what appears to be unsavory, distasteful, and some kind of intemperate language that we're beginning to see where the political party leaders are being spared with all kinds of names and so on and so forth. How do we deal with these issues? We're going to be looking at that, all of that in the next 50 minutes here on Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. The show is produced by Josiah and Bright, and the technical assistance by quite a number of people whose name is Jesse and the other guys. My name is Aldo Moro. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be right back after this break. When I come back, I'll be introducing my guest and then the WhatsApp line for those of you who have opinions and views that you intend to express. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. My name is Aldo Mora. As I did indicate, we're trying to gauge or we're tracking and monitoring what the various political parties have been up to since they launched their campaign and also have launched their manifestos. Now, one of the things that we intend to do is that we're going to be running you through some of the major highlights of some of the things that we've heard these major political parties tell us. And even in some cases, independent candidates and political movement and so on. So let's start with that of the NDC Manifesto for election 2024. They talk about implementing a 24-hour economy. There's free tuition for all, level 100 university students. There's scrapping of COVID-19, a scrapping of all taxes imposed on betting and electronic transactions. Let's also implement a scholarship scheme for tertiary students living with disability around the country with 50 ministers, train and equip 1 million young people with digital skills. That's for the NPP's manifesto. And then also, if you check out what the Movement for Change are proposing to Ghanaians, they're saying cancel the Council of State system by introducing a second chamber in Parliament. They intend to run the country with 40 ministers and introduce 5 years presidential tenure system. They also intend to scrap all taxes imposed on the importation of spare parts within 2 years. So these, of course, if you check out the new fours, yesterday, the leader and the leader and convener of that movement held a news conference, and it says build factories across all regions to promote youth employment, also create 1 million jobs through food processing and cutting down on importation. Now, APC, Hassan Ayariga, he says that he intends to ban the pricing and trading of goods and services in dollars. He intends to make loans accessible to commercial drivers. He intends to prosecute corrupt government officials. Okay, so these are some of the big ticket items that we have been able to glean from the manifestos of some of the political parties and independent candidates who are actually vying in this or contesting in these elections. And as I did indicate, we're starting with the biggest opposition party, the NDC, whose Deputy General Secretary has made time to join us in the studio this afternoon for a conversation. Mustapha, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Afternoon Ghana. It's always a pleasure having you here.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. Now, tell us, so far, how's the campaign going so far? I noticed that it's almost like a three-pronged approach to campaigning, where I've seen the national chairman somewhere, I've seen the running mate in a different, in different places, and I've seen the former president, who's a candidate of the NDC, also. What's the campaign strategy here?
Thank you very much. I think basically our campaign strategy has been to reach out to the ordinary Ghanaian.
Okay.
We believe that we have a big agenda, and that big agenda is the Ghanaian problem, where we find ourselves, and how do we get out of this place. To sell that big agenda depends on how you reach the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
Getting them to understand what the policies are, getting them to understand what the big conversations are. And so if you check, like you said, the flag bearer, who is the leader and the bearer of the vision, himself is leading a whole team managed by Honorable Professor Joshua Alabi.
Okay.
And then the running mate, who herself is very versatile, an educationist, having sector interest in terms of health, education, and how to better gender. These are, carved areas where she would focus to solve problems for the people of Ghana.
Okay.
She's leading another team. You've heard her talk about Women's Bank, and I'm not surprised because she has a track record of doing that. Quite apart from what she's done at the Education Ministry, at UCC, one of the best universities in Ghana or Africa. She's currently the Chancellor for African Women's University.
Yes, where I think she just recently resigned.
Yeah, yes, she was there, I think, 2 days ago. You heard her talk about Women's Bank. And so if she's talking about Women's Bank, she has what it takes to implement and to see to it that it's happening. Okay. Because she's led Women's University.
Okay.
So she has that track record. So she's also leading another group, and you've been monitoring her exploits throughout the country, engaging market women, engaging women from across the region, engaging chiefs and all of that. Then the national chairman, who is the leader or the chairman of the party, himself takes campaigns to the grassroots and leading a couple of national executives. And then you have the general secretary, who himself is the man in the middle of all these teams, coordinating to ensure that all teams are effectively working according to our plans. And so far, I think that that style is to ensure that we reach out to the people.
Okay.
Unlike before, where we bash people, which is what NPP is currently doing. They bash people to converge at a particular place. All of the people you see meeting the flag bearer, meeting the national chairman, meeting the running mate are organic fractions in terms of people who wants to come on board, in terms of people who cannot wait to listen to solutions. Today, what is in the highest demand in the political space is NDC T-shirt of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, his running mate and a parliamentary candidate. It's in serious demand.
These demands been made by NDC supporters?
No. These are floating voters, members of the NPP, who believe that it is just enough. You see people within security sector, you see people within private sector, you see people within public sector, they are demanding for T-shirts. And so every single officer is hard-pressed with supply of T-shirts. The flag bearer is overwhelmed. The running mate is overwhelmed. The party itself is overwhelmed.
Okay.
Our T-shirts and paraphernalia is what every single Ghanaian is looking for. Because really, 8-year cycle is here. The MPP have done 8 years. So naturally, in Ghana, 8 years, you exit for another government to come. When you have done better, then you can put up a conversation to defend your legacy, defend what you have done. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the people of Ghana are concerned, this is the worst government we have ever seen in the history of our country. This is the most corrupt government we have ever seen in the history of our country. Not led by a young man. If I was the one that is leading this regime, you would think that, oh, because I'm a young man, I have appetite for money. If it was President Mahama who was leading, you would say that, oh, he's still young. If it was even Baumia, you would say that he's still young. This is President Akufo-Addo, who is 80 years old, an old man, have led the most corrupt syndicate of our time. Even in their own party, they've centralized corruption to few people. Political leverages, which is supposed to go down to help party supporters, remains in Accra. The most broke group of people are NPP supporters today. Because whatever is taken is centralized. People who have never worked in the party are today the ones benefiting from the party, and their own party members are suffering. Quite apart from that, members of the MPP are just overwhelmed by the one-day, one-scandal syndrome. How do? Corruption has been normalized, like President Mahama puts it right. It's been normalized. When you wake up and you hear that $100 million is missing, it's been taken, it's been misappropriated in this country, it's a normal thing for you because you have seen billions being taken away as compared to the past where Ghanaians get alarmed anytime they hear about corruption. And this is President Akufo-Addo, a man who virtually begged Ghanaians to vote for him, a man who pretended and told Ghanaians that, look, I'm old, I don't need your money.
But the NPP has said this whole talk about this whole talk about the fact that the party is corrupt, has been corrupt in government, and all the negative things that you're saying about the NPP has become a stock in trade of the NDC. We saw a similar thing prior to 2016 where you said, sorry, we saw a similar thing prior to the 2009 elections. You said all kinds of things that, you said about, the Akufo government. And yet you came to power and you struggled to prosecute any of them. So aren't we tired of the NDC consistently making all kinds of allegations against the NPP when they are in government, and then you come to power and then here you are, you're struggling to prosecute. So how then do you expect us to believe you when you keep going on this tangent about them being corrupt? So what should Ghanaians do?
Corruption have always been with politicians. People who do the wrong thing. It has to do with commitment to recover the interests of Ghanaians.
But your track record doesn't show that you've really been committed to retrieving
the
loot.
No. The track record of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the track record of the NDC itself from revolution has always been fighting corruption.
Would you say that you've been impressed? Were you impressed with the way the Professor Mills government?
No. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed.
You were not impressed?
No, I wasn't impressed because President Mills came from a very soft approach to leadership, where he believed that let peace reign, let us build the nation from where we found it.
Let bygones be bygones.
Let bygones be bygones. If Professor Mills had taken the tax to allow his government at the time, the NDC, to deal with corruption, ruthlessly, we would not have President Akufo-Addo do what he's doing today.
I see.
And so we are only here because we played with it, we toiled with it. We said, okay, go scot-free, you've stolen, let us build a nation from where we are. So if you compare from the time Prof. Mills came to government as president, when he left President Mahama to take over, if you look at the development infrastructure in terms of what the NDC have done, if President Akufo-Addo did even 50%, we would have been better off as a country. But today, he has retrogressed us from now to 79.
Okay, so far, how many regions have you been since you started the campaign after the launch of the manifesto? How many regions have you been so far?
It will be difficult to say how many regions because it's been a crisscrossing, multiple counter engagement.
I've seen the former president, or I've seen candidates. John Dramani Mahama in the northern part. I've seen the
he's currently in the Bono region and Bono East region.
He's also been to Greater Accra.
Yes, he just did some selected parts of Greater Accra. He will come back again to continue Greater Accra. But as I speak to you now, he is currently in Bono and Bono region. The national chairman have joined him after finishing some part of Eastern region. The flag bearer was in Central region until she traveled. She also came back to Greater Accra. So it is issue-based. Where there are issues, you go and engage. Make sure that you deal with the issues and then you proceed. So gradually, I think that 93 days to election, the NDC is very prepared for December 7th.
I'll talk about preparations. We're going to be talking about peace and security. That's extremely important. We've just done half of the show talking about where you, in terms of movement, where you have been to so far to campaign and what you've been telling the people. When you've talked about the NPP's track record, which you believe is enough to take them to position and so on. But remember that the NPP is also said that they will break the 8 at all costs. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you feel. And when they do break the 8 and you attempt to stop that from happening, they will teach you a lesson. In fact, we've heard the Interior Minister, we've heard some of the persons within the government have said they will do everything possible to make sure. In fact, the youth organizer of the party, and I'm talking to Mustapha, said they're never going to sacrifice the 2024 elections on the altar of peace. Peace. And so, they're going to lose. They won't do that. So I'll come back to you on that. And the NDC's own preparations in terms of security, how prepared are you to protect your ballot as you've been promising Ghanaians? And also, why are you always, everywhere you go, telling the Ghanaian voter that you intend to go, you intend to prosecute, this administration once they leave power? Everywhere you go, you've been insisting. I'd ask you, really, what are you on about with that type of campaign promise? We'll take a short break. When we come back, this is Good Afternoon Ghana. I have Mustapha Gbande, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, who's joined me in the studio. But before we take that short break, now watch this. We've been talking to a cross-section of Ghanaians on the issues that are going to be forming their choices or their voting choices in these elections.
flag bearers of the two main political parties, NPP and NDC, have outlined their vision for the country. Now we are out here on the streets of Accra to know and get the views of some Ghanaians on the manifestos presented. Do you think Ghana at this stage needs bold solutions to improve the economy, or you think we need a total reset?
Yeah, we the youth have to wake up and just look forward for our future and our younger ones who are coming from the back. And if you look, for now, NDC will come with their big English, NPP will come with their big English. There is no benefit in it, you understand? If you look at the youth now, you see the young boys are getting mad, frustration, etc., etc. You see, we are sick of tired with them.
Which of the policies do you prefer?
You know, both the NDC, both the NPP, I am not of politics. The politics I belong is government of God, because I see that the human politics have fed people. They will come, they will promise all. When you get there, they will not do what they promise. As the current regime over here right now, they promise everything, but they get there, we see things are not normal. People are suffering. See, nothing is going on. So I am not onto politics. I am onto God. Only government of God is what we correct the whole system.
Okay, now we're doing training saying, manifestos now, the main parties, NPP and NDC, are presenting on.
NPP, NDC, Mama Mbaye, na bibi aye kama. Na ba umema ba amusi yen change, na ya to abamomu, ye to abamomu. Ye sika kura akola mutu kwenko aburuchiri ba sika na ashi. Yenya ejuma oba ye kura de achu uba didu kura unye biadi. Abibi papa kura nyeda. What I say? Until you see your papa, mama, you didn't so fertile and you one bra kunjan su. Let me be aye.
Okay, let me come to you. What do you also think?
Madam, Omano, a woman. Me see a bossy boka musu because of Bamia Amamua on a for you bono. And quay just Obano, Oba, Tobanama, Mimia Caniba, with 2 MP. Obano. Or see what $2 out to prison. Or send me Sata Abon, one goes good that yet yet to a banana. Or buy an idiot quite a Tamstein. A say we have, but yet a Bianco, Yantohi, or Manuel Ding, and also, and what I never to be near to know. I never to be near to know. Bamiadia, just say, Yana cry, and then Mamma Gramna.
And to open my hammer.
Hey, Mama. Mama,
so basically what he's saying is he has lost trust in the new patriotic party due to the current economic challenges.
Rosie Bar, as I be over Huma, Tasoko, quite forever. Over to Adiame Bas Fu. You can your mamma see, be a local or bois, but you gonna sell local to buy back. It's a case when yes, why? Gonna have free mind. Oba, Nuan Ekosu. What is it? Well, your mama catches me person over by NDC for Omo papa. I said you could tell Linda for the Vadapo when Omunia we were NDC for me catch you. Thank you.
Yahoo NPP, Yahoo NDC, Yahoo NPP, Yahoo NDC, several occasions. But to me, no me sure NDC buy a home better to the extent say time now NDC was so na can't say we din no. Na mu nya din kra. NPP bas say no. Near ye who say no. And NDC better na 2,000 years and Ghana ye home better yen. NDC was so no near Todo Cruz saying 1 city 50 pesos 2 cities and now we get 5 cities I want to be in Todo no. Obaki to Accra no man 10 city go school and so no. The Mummy manifesto no much wrong. So what's here NDC manifesto now watch wrong about
So it's a mixed reaction altogether. While some Ghanaians prefer the policies outlined by former President John Dramani Mahama, others also prefer the policies presented by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And there are other Ghanaians who also think it's time to break the NPP NDC duopoly. But is that going to happen? Well, we will eventually find out. I am Ekuya Babu.
Well, interesting thoughts there being shared by a cross-section of Ghanaians somewhere here in Accra. What is not a reflection of what Ghanaians generally in this country are thinking, because as you can tell, we spoke to about 5 or 6 Ghanaians, and so it's not scientific enough. But let me pick Mustapha Gbande's views on what he's heard them say so far. I mean, that's what you won't call this a landslide, isn't it? I mean, the opinions were sharply divided as to what who they would want to win these elections. You don't think so?
Well, I think that it's interesting and it's very sad that we have to get this level. If you look at what the people are saying, it's not really about which party they support.
Okay.
It's about their expectation that a certain government would take responsibility of their problems.
Right.
And so I just came from Ashanti region. You would have an appreciation that people are now becoming discerning, far away from political ideologies and gimmicks and colors, to face the realities of life. Today, like she said, 1 ball of kinky, how much do you buy it? A tin of milk was 86 pesos in 2016. Today, a tin of milk is about 8 cedis to 10 cedis. Milo, how much do we have to buy? A bag of rice, and maybe 400 cedis, 300 cedis in 2016. Today, it's about 800 Ghana cedis.
Right.
Again, if you look at the flip side, if all Ghanaians were having access to jobs, okay, then if their incomes were better, then you say that you don't care if prices of goods increase. We are still at a place where this government in the last 7.5 years did not create a single job.
2.3 million jobs have been created, according to the Vice President. In fact, NDC Manifesto. In fact, it's contained in the manifesto. 2.3 million jobs.
How do you talk about jobs without showing where the jobs are? If we created they said it at some instance 21 million.
No, 2.1.
At some, they don't correct it.
The Vice President said at least 2.1 million.
2.1.
But at the manifesto launch, they were categorical.
Then
2.3.
you see, that is the problem. The problem is that the NPP says one thing, and all Ghanaians are singing another song. Ghanaians are saying that we're suffering. Teachers are saying we are suffering. Nurses are saying we are suffering. Patients in the hospitals are saying that healthcare is deplorable. They say that everything is good. Baumia says everything is good.
Well, to be fair to him, he has admitted that times are hard.
No, times are hard because the government is corrupt. The government is irresponsible. The government have not implemented policies that will alleviate the ordinary Ghanaian from their hardship.
Okay.
Today, unlike before, a farmer didn't care who was in power. Today, if you go to the farming areas, a farmer will tell you that I can't buy cutlass, I cannot buy fertilizer, I cannot buy weedicides. Must we get this bad when we have a self-acclaimed economic whiz kid and an old man in power? Should we get to
Speaking about preparations towards these elections, one of the things that I've also observed is that you seem to have focused quite heavily in Ashanti region politics.
Yeah.
In fact, just yesterday I don't know whether that was in the Ashanti region, but yesterday there was a footage which was circulating and it was trending on social media where we saw 2 cars. One of them, I think they were both Tundras. One of them is a car that we all know you drive, and you were somewhere in the hinterlands in the Ashanti region. Why the focus in Ashanti region? What is it that the party has observed and is trying, and for which reason you've decided you're going to spend quite an amount of time in the Ashanti region? Why?
The Ashantis expect us to engage with them. That is the vote basket of the NPP.
Right.
But more, common water. In the last 7 years, the NPP did not drill a single borehole in the hinterlands of Ashanti region. I'm telling you this for a fact.
Fact?
Schools have been abandoned. I have footages I can show you. Bridges are broken. Look, the small-scale businesses in this country, the informal businesses that we have, importation market and all of that, export and all of trading, most of these people are Ashantis. Okay? And a lot of businesses that have lost their capitals now are Ashantis. And that is where the NPP gets their vote from. The ordinary expectation is that if your government is in power, things should be better for you. Their government has been in power in the last 7.5 years, but they are the biggest victim of the crisis that we face. What do you expect? And so we have decided to engage with them, to let them understand and also show, and there's evidence to prove that the NDC have developed Ashanti region than the NPP. When President Mahama was president, the kind of developmental projects he took to the Ashanti region, President Nana Addo didn't do same, except to put street lights in his hometown from Enyinam to Chebi, put internet, in his village at Chebi, and then also tile the cemetery. Tile the cemetery.
If he's developing his hometown, you have a problem.
Well, but he failed to develop where he gets the vote from. So a lot of Ashanti region people have realized that if they vote for this government, this set of people in government again, then they are the ones who have conspired to inflict hardship on themselves and the rest of the people of Ghana.
So you're telling me why the focus on Ashanti issue. You're saying that. So what's the objective here? You're going around to look at the extent of development in the hinterland.
Because
what is it?
We know that over the years, the votes that the NPP tout to get in the Ashanti region are not real.
Really?
No, they're not real. And this year we've decided to combat and to confront election rigging frontally. One, by engaging that we first of all have to reach out to the people. Two, to ensure that the votes in Ashanti region is 1-to-1. So that nobody is able, one, to pad votes, two, to double vote, three, to manipulate the elections. That is why the Ashanti region has become a center stage of our interest.
But are you aware that the NPP intends to they intend to get about 85%?
55% of traditional NPP members rejected Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 55%.
But how do you think that's going to reflect?
I'm saying that 55% rejected Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Yeah, but that's an electoral college.
Well, that should tell you that they don't like him. That should tell you that they don't trust him.
Those were the people who were delegated.
That should tell you they don't believe in him. They don't have confidence in him.
They were delegates. They were not the ordinary voters.
That college influences the grassroots. Okay? That college influences the grassroots. Two, because they have seen and they have felt the impact of the centralized corruption. I'm just telling you that all the leverages in government doesn't even go to the grassroots of the NPP. I'm telling you. And so we want to deal with that. Two, we want to make sure that we are going into an election where the NDC is seen doing things right, is seen being responsible to the outcomes of the election. And that is to ensure that it's 1-to-1, one vote to one human being. Vigilance is built across the country, ensuring that no one goes to sleep until victory is declared. Victory doesn't come when you go and sleep.
Are you discounting the NPP's ambition of clocking 85% of the votes in Ashanti?
No. Do you think that if there was any force that will further deepen the involvement of Ashantis in the current pools, it would have been Matthew Poku Prempeh. But so far, he has proven to be the greatest liability of the time. The biggest shame, no impact. The most unimpactful addition the NPP ever did in the last 7.5 years.
How do you tell?
But the man who is walking about, and since he was made a running mate, has Napo ever had the opportunity to speak to the senses and heart of Ghanaians except to insult?
Yeah, but maybe per the NPP's game plan.
Are you saying that NPP people...
what Napo is saying works according to what they intend to do? I mean,
what he is saying...
otherwise they would have called
that
it
when they come...
If indeed what Napo is saying is not something that the NPP is okay with, I'm sure they would have called
the man is being managed by the national organizer of the NPP.
But the national organizer doesn't own the campaign.
So that's why I'm saying that he's a liability, because he pretends that all is well. As soon as he takes the mic, the evil spirit enters his head and takes control of him. Because when I listen to him say some of the things, I get jitter. I get scared that will this bring food to the table of the Ghanaian people?
Let's look at peace and security. The National Peace Council said it's not going to stop at anything in making sure that they bring the NDC to the table to sign a peace pact. Your position is quite clear on this matter of a peace pact. You have said you will not sign any peace pact, and you've stated your reasons why you won't sign it. You've actually even gone ahead to give reasons. In fact, you've gone ahead to give conditions that must be met if indeed you would be signing this peace pact. Are you reconsidering your stance on this matter?
Moro, any definition of peace in the absence of doing this right is hypocrisy. Okay? And Peace Council is demonstrating the highest level of hypocrisy, unfortunately failing themselves and failing the expectation of Ghanaians, because we have thought that the caliber of people on Peace Council, if we find ourselves wanting both NDC and NPP, we can fall on them as wise men to guide us out of the difficulty. Look, we are going into an election where NPP believes that they must win. NDC and Ghanaians believe that we must stage a change. The only fundamental acceptable source of peace would be to ensure that there's fairness, would be to ensure that there's balance. Who balances what? More, the Electoral Commission has a core mandate to deliver a free and fair election. Today, as we speak here, the provisional voter register we have is a scam. It's not qualified as a voters register. There are errors. People's have, we found out that people's names have been transferred to regions where they don't come from. People have transferred their votes when they have actually not transferred their votes. People's names have been deleted when they have qualified to vote. And these are not mistakes that come from the operational side of the Electoral Commission's job. It all happened at the headquarters because we went to registration. We did first limited registration. We did second limited registration. We did extension. And we did mop-up. Moro. So the problems has to do with the headquarters IT, who believe that they must manipulate figures and have actually demonstrated the appetite and desires to do so.
All right.
Moro,
we need to take a short break just quickly. I've just been told, in fact, we should have taken that short break. I've taken that break 5 minutes ago. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, it's Good Afternoon, Ghana. I'm talking to the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, that's Mustapha Gbande. When I come back, the conversation will continue. All right, welcome back. So Mustapha just said something to me, which I was a bit surprised, and that's why you saw that reaction. But anyway, that's off-record conversation. But anyway, this is Good Afternoon, Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. So Mustapha Gbande is here, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, walking us through the NDC's preparations towards this election. So you're talking about peace and security. You're saying that you still stand by that position. You're not going to sign any peace pact. And you're giving me reasons why. Okay. Right.
Today as we speak, okay, the Electoral Commission have not been able to tell Ghanaians that provisionally we have 17 million people going to vote.
Okay.
Are you not worried about it? We have 93 days to election, 3 months. The Electoral Commission have not been able to tell Ghanaians that we have 20 million people going to vote. We have finished registration, finished mop-up within record time. So what is keeping the Electoral Commission from telling Ghanaians?
That's point number one.
The limited registration exercise we did. To today, as I speak to you, the Electoral Commission have not been able to tell Ghanaians that 3 million people registered. So potentially add the new number to the 2020 voters register, and you will be getting reasonably the projected number of people who are going to vote. Why is the Electoral Commission not playing transparent? The commission whose fortified word is transparent election is not playing transparent. 2, you have history. What the police, look, we believe that the government misused the military and the police to torpedo NDC in the 2020 election. So let me tell you flatly, we are going to rise up strongly against that if it repeats itself. So when they are trumpeting that nobody is going to war, but Ghanaians will rise up against intimidation. That, let me repeat it, that we will rise up frontally against any attempt to use the security agencies to undermine this election. At West, Moro, in the Ghana Armed Forces, and I've told the CDS this, I've had occasions to chat with him, and I've drawn his attention that he's a fine gentleman, loved by the military, but he shouldn't let the Ghana Armed Forces collapse on his head. Because don't forget that we have NDC people who are within the Ghana Armed Forces, as much as we have NPP people who are within the Ghana Armed Forces. When they get involved, we would have the occasion to divide the military on political lines. The same thing that will happen within the Ghana Police Service. But let me tell you something refreshing. This government doesn't have the support of the security services going into these elections, except their own elements that they have, trained to try and bring them on board to cause violence. And some of those things
Which
will
elements
happen.
are you talking about?
We're looking at some of those things happening in a Peña constituency. Some of those things will happen in this where the paramount chief has his session. Those are some of the red lights showing indications of possible interference using the military or the police or national security. Look, national security
So
hasn't
are these like paramilitia group? Or these are mainstream military?
The Ayawasu West Wagon operation, let me tell you, what they did was to get military officers to wear national security uniform to do that operation. Most of them went back to Arakan Mesh to go and undress after that operation. Okay, so we know the NDC has full intelligence on all the happenings. But what we expect is that if you are a police commander and under your jurisdiction there is an infraction that leads to a loss of life, you will personally be held responsible. And the gimmicks that Jean Mensa has some 5 or 10 armed military officers around her for which she should be misbehaving and not do the right thing to the nation. I'm afraid if Jean Mensa is the reason why somebody's life is lost, tell me why she should not personally be responsible. Tell me why. We have an interior minister under whose watch there are various infractions of security training happening, and he doesn't see that as terrorism. He sees that as convenient because it's happening within his government. Moro, When we went to Asim North, the NPP were busy conveying arms to Asim North. We had a stakeholders meeting when we told them that whilst they were doing that, we were not sending plastic chairs to Asim North. We are more ready for this election. Being ready means that the NDC has no plan at all to rig the election. We had no plan to compromise the election 2024. But we are more fortified, more ready, in partnership with the people of Ghana to ensure that we have a transparent and credible election. Anything short of that will defend the democracy of this country.
See, what is this whole talk about prosecuting NPP officials who are alleged to have been involved in one form of corrupt activity or the other? I mean, I've noticed everywhere the NDC goes, whether it's on TV, radio. I've heard your candidate himself, John Dramani Mahama, everywhere he goes, says he'll prosecute corrupt government officials and recover what he calls the loots that they have apportioned to themselves. Why do you...
It is very...
But that is something that is expected of any political party that comes to power anyway. So why do you keep repeating?
It's a special dispensation because, look, majority of the people of Ghana believe that these government and its officials, including people who are not even appointees, people who are around the president, have taken what belongs to this country, and that they are looking up for a government that will take it back. And let me tell you, so far we've done some work. About 58 appointees and counting. Most of these people have stolen not less than $50 million. If you look at Wontumi, okay, can you punish anybody who have been engaged in environmental degradation without mentioning his name?
He says none of you.
And let me
just none of you can touch him.
Just so I let him.
He's warning you. Said none of you can touch him.
Just so I let him know that we have ransacked him. He went to Sierra Leone, begging for land for him to move his machines and investment to Sierra Leone. Let him know that we are following him slowly.
Chairman Wontumi.
Yes.
Has been to Sierra Leone.
Yes. So tell him.
And has asked that he be
is
allowed
looking for land
to transfer.
To go and mine because he knows that they are losing election.
Not necessarily. It could just be that he wants to expand his business.
Gone there. He told them. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm giving you information. And this is what is happening. So most of the appointees of President Akufo-Addo are corrupt. They've stolen so much, they've stolen more than they need. And if any government comes to power without being able to take on the fight against this loot, this brigade, this fraudulency of a government, you have failed our generation. Then we don't have a right, a moral right to jail an armed robber. We don't. So much things have gone wrong. And I keep saying that the things I know, if we talk about it, this nation will go down.
This is about the second time you
Ghanaians
said it.
Will rise up.
You're on record to have said that already.
Yes, if we said some of the things we know, Ghanaians will rise up against this country. And it is not fair that a president who is 80 years, under his watch, okay, monies and properties belonging to the state have become free for all. On top of it, these people are threatening to rig an election. How? In our own country. No, the NDC will stand up against it. And let me tell you, if we win elections, some of them will be prosecuted. They will be prosecuted, and the evidence will be made available. Forget about whether they have packed the judiciary or not. Under a compelling evidence, a judge cannot do otherwise. And some of the things we have, Moro, if I give you one of the information, you will weep. I mean, how can we do this to our country? How can we do this to our country? Okay, when they came and told all of us that we were going to do what we call one village, one dam. Okay, Moro, where are the dams? In your company, if somebody takes that amount of money, all right, dole it to party people, chops the money, tell you have constructed a dam, and nothing is being constructed, you let the person walk free?
Before you take leave of us, now we do have a dry spell in some part of the country. In fact, we're told about 8 out of the 16 regions have suffered from a dry spell, and that could potentially lead us to some kind of a food crisis because we haven't been able to grow. The rains are not coming down. We're not able to grow our crops and so on. And so one of the things that the Interior Minister, of course in collaboration with the Agric Minister, have decided to do is to stop the exploitation of the little food that we have.
Oh, no. They are
and so we have deployed military persons across the border to protect us from persons who want to take the little food that we have away from this country.
Nobody, they are lying.
Your party, again, you have read all kinds of motives.
No, they are lying. They are lying to you.
What do you mean by they are lying?
No. These people were here.
No, but isn't it a fact that we have a dry
They were here when cocoa was being smuggled out by their own. Go to Oti region. Those who smuggled cocoa out of Ghana were NPP executives. Were they not here? National Security recently killed some 2 people in Oti region. What were they doing in the night? What are they talking about? It is a plan to deploy the military to our borders because they believe that we are going into an election. Some people will come from elsewhere to come and vote for the NDC. So let us deploy military officers. Tomorrow, let me tell you.
Isn't that a bit far-fetched?
It is within the mandate.
Isn't it a bit far-fetched?
No, it was within the mandate of the Ghana Armed Forces to protect our territorial integrity as against terrorism and all of that, because we have an election and you may not underplay the external threats that we face. Look, when a military officer is sitting at the border, I'm not threatened, I'm not worried. But when that military officer gets himself involved in election manipulation, then you have the citizens rising up, because that is what is going to happen. So wherever you go and put a military officer, the NDC will not fight it, but will ask the citizens to watch over the military officer. It's as simple as that. So there was nothing like a drought and all of that. Farmers have always suffered in this country under this government. Is it not the same people who said that their planting for food and jobs succeeded? Moro. The same people have said that they are doing one village, one dam, and they have touted it that it has been successful. How do we suddenly get here? There's no problem. The only problem is that as part of their strategy, let us try to manipulate the security agencies. Let's deploy the military. What will they do? What will they do? What will the military do? Nobody underestimates the strength of our military. But when a military commander is engaged in an illegality, he's a civilian.
And this is where I ended this today's edition of Good Afternoon Ghana. My name is Aldemore. I want to say a big thanks to Mustapha Gbande, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. I want to say a big thanks to the production team as well. Thanks for watching Good Afternoon Ghana. Same time Wednesday, we'll be right back. But remember that this show will be repeated tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the exact time. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.